It's Thomas the Tank Engine, hip 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 hooray. Chugga chugga chug chug chuff chuff chuff, he rides along the way. And when you hear that whistle, it can only be one train. Our favorite little engine, Thomas is his name. Thomas the Tank Engine's rolling along. All of his friends will be coming along. Thomas, we love you. Thomas, we love you. Thomas, we love you.
Boco enjoyed taking the night goods. The evening air was crisp and it was nice running with no other engines around. Best of all, the trucks were too busy sleeping to cause any mischief. One foggy evening, he arrived on the other railway right on time. He parked his trucks and made his way to the shed. The yard was big, but Boco never had any trouble. Tonight, however, the fog was so thick, he had completely lost his bearings.
Strange.
He muttered to himself.
I'm very certain that the sheds were around here.
Suddenly, Boco could see the outline of a building ahead.
Finally.
His relief was short-lived, however, as right when he drew closer, it wasn't the big sheds where the mainland is a sled. It was smaller and more akin to the old sheds on Sodor. It was shabby and looked like it hadn't been used for a long time. A shed's a shed, old boy, said his driver. Boco fell at ease as he knew something fell off. But he didn't want to navigate through the fog any longer either. So he rolled into the shed and for a nice warm nap. After Boco was parked into the sheds, Boco's driver catched a work bus and headed off to a nearby hotel to sleep for the night. Now, Boco was alone. He stared out into the yard. All was silent. No trucks were being pushed around, not even the distant sound of diesel horns. It was as if the fog muffled the world around him. Why, hello. Boco jumped with surprise. Beside him was an old tender engine. He was painted blue, was marked with soot, and his face was smudged. Dark heavy bags hung under his eyes as if he hadn't slept for days. It's not often I have visitors, he said in a warm but weary tone. At last, Boco found his voice.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to intrude. My driver and I got lost.
No need to apologize. Fog can lead you places you don't expect to be. Besides, it's nice to have company for a change.
Well, thank you. I must admit, I've been taking a night good for years, but I have never seen a shed, or even you.
You're not the only one. Seems I'm invisible to most who work here. The engine eyed Boco up and down. You're a Sodor engine, aren't you?
How do you know?
You're different from the diesels that live around these parts. Much more courteous for a start. I was a Sodor engine as well many moons ago. Yes, it's true. I used to work at the big station. Lovely place it was. Only wish I appreciated it more at the time.
Why don't you return?
No. He didn't have the patience for an engine like me.
Nonsense, he wouldn't want to see you in a state like this.
The old engine ignored us. Tell me, he asked, is Edward still around?
Oh, yes he is.
Oh, I'm very glad to hear. A kind soul he was. I only wish I'd been nicer to him.
What did you say your name was?
Oh, it's getting late. We better get some sleep. We'll finish our chat in the morning. Boco was curious why the engine wouldn't answer his question, but he had to admit he was feeling drowsy too, and it wasn't long before he fell asleep. Boco's sleep was anything but peaceful. All night, Boco dreamt of scrapyards. Old engines were lined up in the sidings, the shells dancing and flicker of the cutter's torch. The violent red light illuminated inside of a shed, and all he could hear were the muffled screams for mercy, drowning the sound of searing metal. Boco woke with a start. It was daylight now, the fog burned off by the morning sun.
I hope I can keep you up.
But when Boco turned around to talk to the engine, he was shocked. The engine and the shed were gone. Boco couldn't believe his eyes. He was wondering where the engine and the shed were. Suddenly, an engine was coming into the yard and saw Boco.
Excuse me. Are you okay?
Where's the shed? And the engine?
In case you don't know, the shed that used to be here was torn down back in the 1960s. I also have no idea about this engine you're talking about.
When Boco's driver arrived, he was confused too. He had no idea where the shed went. Suddenly, he and Boco noticed a number plate. It read 87546.
Can we take it back with us?
Good idea, Boco. Besides, I could show this to Sir Topham Hatt and tell him about what happened. As Boco began making his way back to Sodor, he had no idea what to make of the whole experience. But one thing he did know for sure was that he would be having a long talk with Edward when he got back to Wellsworth.